Welcome, everyone, to the Learning Loop podcast, your best source for educational insights and trends. I'm Chris, your host. Today, I have two special guests here from Wichita Public Schools to talk about district wide adoptions that transform classroom achievement. These two testimonials that we're here today are amazing testament to what it takes to adopt Seesaw and lead to actual classroom change. If you're listening to this story and want to hear more about this success, there is a handout pinned in this description that you can go read this entire success story that's here beyond just listening to this conversation. I invite you to jump right in here. We're going to kick things off with our very first question. Everybody kind of has their Seesaw success story. They have a moment when they're like, Seesaw unlocked this potential in this kid. It unlocked learning, it unlocked engagement, it unlocked some creative moment within their classroom. I'd love if you both took a moment to just kind of share a success story you had, a moment when learning was really unlocked for you and one that you saw was made possible with Seesaw and how that kind of came to life. So I'll pitch that first to you, Stacy. I'll let you kind of share and then we'll go to Josh there right after this.
I know I've spoken this before, but for me, it all comes back to my Spanish speakers. This year, I had one who had only been in the country 2 weeks when school started this year. She was a fresh, but for once, and what was really great about her is she was actually on grade level in Spanish, which we don't get a lot. Usually, we get them in that are also below grade level in Spanish. But because she was grade level in Spanish, I was able to translate a lot of our stuff into Seesaw and put the work in there, whether it be a video with put a video in where she could turn on closed captioning in Spanish, but giving her that opportunity to see it in her home language as she was learning English. And she picked up so fast. By January, all the translations stopped and everything was 100% in English. But Seesaw provided me that platform to be able to put stuff for her in Spanish so that she could stay along with the other students and work on her skills in English and in Spanish.
Mm.
Josh, your mic's off.
We have newcomers, like, all the time, and it's like, I'm always amazed at those teachers that, come alongside, and really use Seesaw or use these different tools really to help them. Okay, so I guess I'll just go. I'll just talk about me, and then I'll talk, like, district role. I will really put on my parent hat, and I will tell you, like, I had been, like, talking about Seesaw and even training on Seesaw. Well, I will tell you, I don't wanna mention any competitors' names in here, though. I will say my oldest is a kiddo, okay? She is a kiddo that, let's just say, like, she earned the points, okay? And it was just point after point, and I'm like, "What is happening?" 'Cause she's my first one, my first I'm a girl dad, so she's, like, my first. I'm like, "What's going on?" Right? Um then it came along, and should I say I may have dropped a few seeds to this kindergarten teacher, um, and then 2, 3 years later, I was able to actively see, as a parent, my kid and their work, and so I loved it. Now, I will tell you the difference of my kids. I tell this. Stacy's probably heard me say, my 1st grade little I won't say her name, but I'll say her nickname. My nickname was Rowdy when I was younger, and so she's Rowdy Junior. Uh, I recorded a voice message because I loved hearing her read, and she totally snapped back at me, when she came home and said, "Dad, never do that again." But Imma be honest, that was, like, a big aha for me to just then, like, be able to, like, sell and explain it at the next level, because to see what she was doing and hear her reading grow, or be able to have a conversation, "Oh, the fire department came today," like, that was critical for me because, you ask kids, "How was school?" And they say, "Good." Right? Fine, right? So, that was a huge thing for me. Now I'll put on, like, my, kinda, district, professional hat. One thing that I loved, we have a magnet that's like an outdoor learning, Earhart, and they did some outdoor learning, and they were able to take pictures of things, record right there, and so they were even able to, like, take pictures, and then they had to kinda get a little closer to the building, and then right, and then bring it in and record, but that was a cool aha, and then I also remember visiting a class where Dad was always out of town, but dad was able to like, heart, and even do something right there on that seesaw. So those were some key moments that really made a difference for me as I talk about the benefits of Seesaw.
Amazing. I love hearing these stories. They're always my favorite part of having these conversations, hearing those, and you're for sure right, Josh, in that you know, kids come home with this amazing experience they have in schools, and parents often don't get to see that glimpse. And so Seesaw really provides some transparency into what happens into schools and allows those conversations to happen, allows that connection to be built in a really, really powerful and positive way too. So I just love that you're having those experiences and your families are part of that too. I want to lean into the family part of it too for this next question here. I know you both kind of mentioned this throughout your time presenting about, the different languages that you serve, the amount of families that are connected, things like that. What role have families really played in shaping how you have molded Seesaw to fit your district? Can you just share a little bit about how that has influenced either the design of how you're actually designing your classroom, or how you're kind of building communication plans at the district wide level? Josh, so have you kind of kicked that one off?
Sure. Yeah. So we basically have worked to really communicate to principals and to teachers that Seesaw is a safe, secure method of communicating. So we kind of have our synergy, our SIS, our system information support, right? Um, And that is kind of like level number 1, but a lot of times it's impersonal and wrong emails, and we don't know if they're getting them. And so that's one of the things that we've really advocated is to pause and use Seesaw, right? Because just like I was talking about professional development, it really does take, right? It's almost like you got to spray and pray to somehow get parents and get them engaged. Life is just busy, and so that's one of the ways that we've done that. We've also, when we're talking about shaping that, is we've really talked to principals how they have access to those messages if they need to, right? And that's safe and secure, and they can even get in there. Another thing that's been exciting is some of those principals are starting to see that work. Even a heart from a principal goes a long way, a little like, on an assignment. So those are a couple of things, that we've done. We've also encouraged teachers to really think about a parent corner. And even so, like when they're putting out assignments, you can put that parent corner in there about, hey, talk to your kid about blank if it's counting money. Another way that we've done it when we think about systematically is we have really talked about the benefit of that text message and them being able to see that it's been seen. Okay, I'm gonna talk to the parent side. I love it because I'm able to, hey, whatever it is, I can immediately verify, okay, the teacher's seen that, right? And again, in an email, I'm flying blind, right? And it's also we're just dare I say, we're like connected to these little phones. And so it's so easy to pick that up and say, bam, right there and see that. So those are a couple of ways that I have actively, encouraged people, hey, this is valid, this is good to go, and then these are the benefits. So we've even really talked to teachers about here's how you do newsletters, and here's how you can do send an email, but you can also do Seesaw, and how to do that. So those are some of the conversations we've had at the district wide level when we're working with schools and teachers.
Sure.
I know with us, and I kind of already said this, we at our open house at the beginning of the year, it's one of our big pushes is to make sure that every parent is connected through Seesaw. I know when I get into my room, I average maybe 2 to 3 a year that aren't, and last year I actually had 100% other than my new student that were already connected before they ever walked into my room. So it's really great when you have that. Now, are all of them using it actively? No. Do they all have sometimes lose it? Yes. But it's that reminder all the time. And I know if I have a parent calling me or I have a parent sending me an email, one of my first questions was, hey, do you have access to Seesaw? Let's get on this. Because it's such an instant communication piece. And because we went school wide with it right after COVID, we actually used it during COVID. But then after COVID, we saw the benefit of Seesaw in itself. So we actually, before the district even implemented citywide, our school had implemented it for our entire
Yeah,
school.
shout out to Hernandez. She was awesome and really really saw that power and the connection, and that was able we were able to have that success model and then say, "Hey, let's replicate this." So,
And there is a question in Q&A too. I don't know if you 2 saw it. Josh, it kind of, hits you a little more than me, so I didn't want you to miss that for David H.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'll look at this one here really quick. It says, with such a large population of teachers, what are the most effective ways you reach all of them to support implementation? Do you have tech coaches at each building? I know you hinted at a few things. Yeah, if you want to just share a quick response on that one and just
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for the question. So really, I will be honest, it really comes back to that relationship. So, with some schools, it really is that in service. With others, it is that team and those connections. I didn't mention it, but we just had a massive tech summit where Propel Us, where Seesaw came in. So as far as contacts at the building, so Stacy would be an example of that, where she is kind of that first line of support with tech. Now, those first line, which we call school technology specialists, some of them are comfortable doing that instruction and kind of like advocating for Seesaw, and some don't. We are excited that we have been able to roll it out the middle school level, that we do have instructional technology specialists, and that's just a new 2-year thing. So we see the need for that. Another thing that we're doing is we obviously work closely with our instructional coaches and support them in Seesaw because they're kind of like a bridge, right, between the tech and the instruction side. So those are a few ways that we've done it, but we totally do all the ways to try to reach them and support the implementation. And that's hard. I'm here saying it's been hard. I feel like a lot of people, I don't know, Chris, if you feel like this, but they're kind of on a tech diet a little bit since COVID. So it really has been, hey, it's not about how many times you use tech. It's about when and why you want to use it. So let's be purposeful about that. So thank you for the question, David. Hopefully that answered that.
for sure. And I'll try to build a through line between these two conversations, these two questions that came together is that, when you're really leaning into Seesaw, when you really find the true power in Seesaw and the ease of use and the streamlined communication, but also supporting it all consistently in a building, your principals talking about it, your tech coaches, your teachers, your instructional coaches, when everybody's having these same conversations and everything's coming together, that's when the real power of Seesaw is unlocked. You're still going to see those moments all before that actually happens. But when everybody is all on board and you're getting families to come with it, that's when you really see the true magic coming with it. And I saw it as a technology coach and as a parent, and I'm super glad that Wichita is seeing that too as it goes. And I wish a lot more districts could see that point too. Is just everybody buying in and coming in together in that one point and supporting things all consistently to just really create an environment that's super unique and amazing to actually witness as it goes. I'm gonna actually David asked another question, but this question aligns perfectly with it as we go. I do want to talk and back the lens out a little bit into kind of like pedagogical practices and some things that align to like what do you think about and what you're kind of going. Stacy, I'm gonna kick this one to you as soon as I finish it. Can you just walk us through a specific activity in a way that you really build supports for all of your students? I know you talked about 120 languages. You talked about newcomers. How are you making sure that your Seesaw activities and your is matching the pedagogical practices that today's classroom really needs to meet?
Well, first of all, I don't build 90% of the Seesaw activities I use. I use those libraries of pre-built activities because there's so many great ones out there. But as I'm doing that, I'm checking for the rigor of them too to make sure that I'm meeting what I need to meet for my standards. I don't just go in there and assume that that's what I need. But I kind of when I go into Seesaw to set up an activity, I have to go in with what do I want the outcome to be? What do I need that to be? And then I can look at what the ability levels of my students are. And then so sometimes that may involve finding 4 different activities to max the different levels of my students, or maybe they can all work on the same one. So on my conclusion one, I had just an end of year memory book page. Well, everyone in my classroom by that time of year was reading at least 60 or 50 words a minute. So by then everyone could read enough to do the activities. So I didn't have to go trying to find or go in and make them verbal or any of that stuff. But there's so many great activities that have been already created that we can go utilize. And then we can also make them our own. So I can sometimes go in there and start with that, and then I have to go update it or change it based on different things. A lot of videos are implemented, but sometimes the videos won't work on our system, so I have to go in and update the links. But it's taking what's there and using it so that you work smarter, not harder. Taking what's there and adapting it to what you need for your individual standards. And as a school, that's what we do. I tell my people all the time when we're talking Seesaw, don't reinvent the wheel. That's already there for you, especially because we are technology. We're 1 to 2 now, so we have 1 iPad for every 2 students, and how we use it is different depending on grade level. We all use them a little bit differently. So it's finding that what works for you, but building those activities. And I said in my thing, it's so easy to use. So one of the things that I was gonna do that on this question, I'm just gonna kinda go a little bit. One of the things that we do is fluency, of course, is one of our biggest things in our district. It's one of our 3rd grade fluency and getting to the reading level that we want here in our district. So my kids read every single week out of their decoding manuals. So on our day 5 of decoding, they have to go get their Seesaw, and I don't have an activity in there. They push the plus button, they push a video, and they record themselves. I don't have to have a pre-built activity. They know how to do it themselves. They just record themselves. Their parents get to hear them weekly. So by the end of the year, you have from day 1, this is how we were reading, which this year I had one who was only 10 words a minute to start the year. And at the end of the year, he was at 62 words a minute. And his parents got to go with him through that whole thing. So when you're in parent teacher conferences, if they're paying attention, they're seeing their kids' progress. They're watching them grow. And I'm not even having to create anything. So I have to look at when do I have the iPads? When are they accessible? Since I don't have one to one, we can make that work. But we still, and my favorite part is I don't tell my kids to go read to Seesaw. My kids are told to go read to your parents, and they love that. They'll remind me, Miss Nolan, we haven't read to our parents this week. We need to read to our parents. So to them, it's such an important part of their school career to be able to show their parents what they're doing by reading to them. So it's not Seesaw's providing the way to do it, but the students are doing it because they want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kudos, Stacey, you threw out some numbers there and some practices, and I just wanna say, like, amazing, amazing job, right? So, getting that kid from 10 to 62,
Oh,
like, you need to be celebrated,
the year to celebrate, I went from 47% fluent to 75% fluent that year. So I had a year of right fluency pickup, but
I love that. So kinda going back through a specific Seesaw activity, um, or some things that we do, I would say, one of the things that we do when we talk about activities, and David mentioned, developing materials, we do develop some. I will say I actively coach what Stacy has done her. I said, find what you want, examine it for rigor, make it your own, and so though that's something that we actively do. We do have things out there. We did a little bit more, during COVID, but a lot of teachers share content too. Of course, like I said, the way we're learning, right? I used to pick up Chris's stuff, look at it, right? That's happening in our district library as well, where teachers are looking at what others are doing and they're sharing them as well. So those are a couple of things. When I think about some things that we model or when I'm training as kind of a district trainer, one of the things we really do is show the different modalities. So I like to have even teachers, they'll grumble when they have to get up and move, but I'll show learning centers and stations and what that looks like and really showing them, hey, you got a drag and drop right here. This is an example. You have to disguise the turkey, right? And you have to draw, and they get to experience and feel that, right? And then also thinking about, hey, if you want to do paper pencil, that's totally cool. Let's have students demonstrate or articulate what they really know by capturing that worksheet and then explaining their thinking. So those are a couple of ways that we kind of model that. I'm also, just as I'm talking, UDL and using, right, universal design learning and even bringing in those multiple modalities. And then I know, Stacy, I don't know about you, but the other teachers are loving how you can limit what students see or allow their options. So those are some different ways we're actively, harnessing Seesaw, modeling the ability of Seesaw as we go through.
and I will say one thing that I have not said that I didn't even click into my head. Seesaw is so wonderful when you have a sub.
Yeah.
How I can sit there and I can teach my decoding lesson on Seesaw and have the students do it on Seesaw. I can do my SEL lesson on Seesaw. Yeah. I can literally set a sub up for a day of literally as much as I don't like them on iPads all day and I don't normally want that. But when you don't know who your sub's going to be, or even if you're going to have one, it's a great way to set up so many of those lessons that you know you want your rigor and your way of teaching it. I can backwards teach and I can teach it to my Seesaw, my decoding, my reading lesson, whatever I want, and then have the students actually complete it through Seesaw with just that substitute support. So it's a way to be in your classroom when you're not in your classroom.
Yeah, for sure. I love both of your stories kind of hinged around something that just the alarms were going off in my head around just personalized learning. You're personalizing the learning for the students by catering and customizing things, by allowing things to fit into your classroom and your models as well. So you as a teacher then are supported through that by Josh and by other teachers around you of what practices do work for you and what do we want to lean into your way that you teach and the way that Seesaw can be molded into that. I know some people struggle with maybe the flexibility of Seesaw, but that allows that beautiful thing to actually happen in that the teachers get to just be them best selves. You can highlight and lean into what you're really, really good at and use Seesaw to accompany that in your classroom, which only will make what you do good even better. So I just love the stories that you kind of shared there and love, the abilities and the flexibility that's within Seesaw to really just allow things to be picked up quickly, easily, and be accessed by families as you go. We have time for a final question, and it's probably the best question of our all set. It's the looking ahead question. So, as we think about maybe the next 1 or 2 years, we don't really want to forecast too far into the future, but the next 1 or 2 years, what really excites you about the role Seesaw is going to play in Wichita Public Schools? And thinking about everything from your adoption levels to maybe what you want to try new as a teacher, what kind of things are exciting you as we think about the future of Seesaw in your schools? Josh, I'll let you go first.
All right. Well, I kind of gave this one away a little bit about where we're going, right? But I am really, and I was talking to Yvonne the other day, and I was like, man, we have got to, because so many of these interactive flat panels are really just teacher tools. And I'm like, we got to get those kids up there. We got to bring this learning to life. And so that excites me big time because I really feel, I always call Seesaw a Swiss Army knife. This is a new one that we haven't really been deploying. And so I'm excited about partnering with teachers. And some, let's face it, some are a little leery of getting out all those devices. Boom, right there. You can have a kid come up, drag, an infinite clone, drag coins over a manipulative right there. That's easy peasy. I also mentioned analytics. I'm really excited that we have our scales and standards in there. And so I'm really excited as more teachers learn about that, just how they will use that to kind of track how many times they're teaching the standards. And so I'm really excited about that. And also, I think working with principals and saying, hey, yeah, we got this communication tool for you, right? You know that, but hey, there's this analytics side. You can jump in, you can comment, you can see this, and you can see all this posts. So I think really just partnering with those schools that excites me. And of course, all the new AI, like formative assessment is another thing that I really see. Stacy, I'm gonna go to you. What are you excited about?
I have so many things that I want to use for. I just saw the AI the other day for the formative assessment where you can type in, and I was playing with it where I could type in the name of a book and it created me 5 questions and I could create a formative. I was like, oh, AI's in Seesaw now. No, I'm going to really have some fun with that. One of my goals this next year for me personally is we do take our state tester and our standardized testing on the computer. So I want to put some more of our independent math, especially because they really struggle with doing math tests on the computer onto paper. They think it's on the computer. I don't need to do the work and I don't need to. So using Seesaw a little bit to get some more of our assessments into the computer portion to teach them how to do it on paper at the same time as on the computer. I have bought styluses for all of my iPads because I want them writing. I want them being able to read. So we actually have styluses in my classroom to do all that pieces because, of course, I'm a Seesaw person. But I'm just excited. The fluency, of course, I've told you before, fluency is the big push. I'm playing with the new fluency reader where it's tracking how many words a minute. I'm still struggling a little bit on that one. I got to do some more playing on that one a little bit, but I'm just excited for the opportunities to utilize that piece and have it actually tracking the words a minute where maybe I can see without my normal weekly taste that I have to do, to give them that second little opportunity to do that because they all excited. They can't wait to see how they do. So many different things I'm excited and all the new stuff and just learning more and playing more, and again, it all comes down to time. Teachers never have enough time.
It does, it
So
does. And I think the huge pro too is that you both are excited about Seesaw. You're both excited about the potentials that are here. You see the benefits that come to not only you as teachers and to students, but also to your families as well. And I think that's sometimes can be a missing puzzle piece is just to see the benefits, to feel those benefits and to understand, okay, once we get over maybe this anxiety hump of what this kind of looks and feels like, and we can feel some of those, that's going to start that momentum into that deeper implementation. And everybody knows once you get to deep implementation of Seesaw, you absolutely love it and just reap all the amazing benefits that are there as well. So I just love the excitement and enthusiasm you both have and the benefits that you've both been able to look and feel and experience to help propel you into the future years of using Seesaw as you go.
We're ready. We're excited. We always love it.
Awesome, awesome. We are at time. I wish we could sit here and just talk. That's again my favorite part of doing this is just hear the stories, share the stories of Seesaw. But I do want to kind of point you to another place where you can hear more stories. We do offer webinars every month. There's a webinar like this one, which is a teacher-facing webinar. There's also webinars for administrators as well. Those happen every month. You can go and register for all these for free at live.seesaw.me. There is an on-demand section if you scroll down a tiny little bit as well, where you can see everything we have ever done here at Seesaw. And so there's some amazing content that's in there. I encourage you to go check it out, listen to something, join a webinar that's already been recorded if you want to, or join some that are upcoming in the future if you want to.